In the meantime, let's solve a few of your problems now and growing pains.
Philip.
Hello.
Welcome back to
How are
Going
you?
Live. I'm very well
Good.
indeed, thank you. Very well. How are you?
Hello. Yes, I'm really fine. Fine. Absolutely fine.
I'm going to go, how? Then it's like, how? We have got a whole selection of letters to go through this morning, Philip, so we'll dive straight in. Dear Philip, says the first person, you are the only one I trust with my problem, because everyone else will think he's a mummy's boy. You see, I'm 13 years old and have started to go through puberty, which I don't mind, but when I'm taking a bath, my mum walks in and it's really embarrassing. I don't want to tell my mum how I feel, and my dad isn't really that close. I'm scared in case my friends find out. Please help.
Okay, well, yes, it is embarrassing, and you do need your privacy. The trouble is, when your mum first saw you, you had no clothes on, and your body doesn't faze her at all. And kids grow up faster than their parents really realise. So she doesn't know what you're now going through, because you didn't bother 2 or 3 years back. You didn't give a darn, but you do now. So you've got to get the message across, and you've got to make some sort of statement to her. Now, you can either do this in a serious way, which would be something like thinking out what you want to say to her, choosing a good time, and then saying it very, very slowly and clearly, taking a deep breath first, saying it slowly and clearly. At the end of that, stop and wait for her to register what you've got across. And it would be something like, now I'm growing up, please could you not just wander into the bathroom? Or you can do it in a slightly more jokey way, and you get a notice, a bit like this. Right, where should we hold that? Can you see that? No, you can't see that. It says private, bath in progress, no entry. You stick that on the bathroom door, and you hope they get the message.
I think that's an excellent idea. Let's move on. It's not fair, says this person. Every time I get some money for my birthday or Christmas, my dad asks to borrow it. And he says he'll pay it back, but he never does. When I get some money, I don't tell him, so he now takes it out of my bank account. He took £100 out, and it took me ages to save it. I wouldn't mind so much if he was buying things that we really need, because we're not that well off. But my dad hasn't got a job, so he buys whiskey and cigarettes for himself and bets on horses.
Well, I think your dad is really seriously out of order, you know. I think this is absolutely wrong, and it made me very angry. Now, of course, he may have problems, and I understand that, and I think you understand that, but I still don't think he should actually get his hands on your cash. There is a way you can protect your money. There are several building societies, they're the ones in the high streets that aren't banks, which have an account, as long as you're over 7 years of age, and as long as you open it properly, you need ID and all that sort of thing, identification. Nobody else can get their hands on your money, not even a parent. They can't take it out. Alternatively, if you don't want to go through all that, I suppose you could ask a friend or a friend's parent if they would be your bank and hold your money for you. But I do think this is a very, very tough situation for you, and my sympathies are all, for once, all on one side. That's your side.
Now I can identify with this next one. Dear Philip and Sarah, I'm 13 years old and I'm scared. My bike went missing while I was shopping for myself in a superstore. I did lock my bike, but not properly. My parents don't know about this, as they would go crazy. I've told them my bike's around at a friend's house for a few days, but I can't use this excuse for very long. I know this is a stupid problem, but I don't know what to do. My friend says that the police cannot do much, as I didn't really lock it, and no one can do anything unless it's reported missing. Please advise me.
Swallow hard. You're going to have to own up. The alternative is telling so many fibs that you'll be in real trouble and tangle, and absolutely serious trouble if you fib to the police. The interesting thing, of course, the important thing is that you can control how you tell, and that will mean that you don't perhaps have to suffer as much as you imagine you will, because you have to get to your parents and say, I've got a confession to make, but before I go on, will you do one thing for me? Will you please not jump in on top of me until I've finished my statement in full? Okay? Agreed? And then you say, did a silly thing, and I said it was around my friends because I was afraid you would be so angry with me. I think that will make them a little less angry. They still might be quite tough with you, but you're going to have a tremendous sense of relief that the stress of worry is over. And you can also tell yourself that we all make silly mistakes, and we sometimes tell fibs about them afterwards. But life will go on. There will be a future once you've gone through this. And even Sarah, I think, has made the occasional
Oh, everybody does, and it's this awful thing of being so scared to admit. I mean, mine was so trivial. I'm sure my mum and I wouldn't even remember it now, but I had a lovely little guitar. I wanted to learn to play the guitar when I was about 8, I suppose. And I was playing the guitar, and a string broke. And I thought that was it. I thought you should never break a string. I thought, oh no, I've ruined my lovely guitar now and I can't tell anybody. And I hid it, and I was so worried about telling or about breaking through. And I thought, you know, that's what's meant to happen, and they're a spare one. And it was such a relief having told them. Yes. And of course, they weren't a bit cross at all.
And they even saw the funny side.
Oh yes, absolutely. But everybody does that.
I chopped. Well, I had an axe, and I showed a friend how it worked over some antique plates of my parents. And instead of stopping a quarter of an inch from the top plate, I went through the lot.
Oh dear, I shouldn't lie. I mean, that is a bit more serious.
I hid them for a while, and then I owned up. And they also, I think if you do that, you'll find that parents are not the demons you imagine. It will be all right. Okay?
Absolutely. Now, this is a letter from a mum now.
Welcome, Mum.
Yeah, my 15-year-old daughter Jane says she's in love with the comedian Vic Reeves. It all started as a crush last year when Vic Reeves' Big Night Out was on the box. Now she says it's got serious. She's finished with her nice boyfriend and her school marks are slipping. Jane recently played truant just to come home to watch a video of him. Her bedroom walls are covered with posters of him. Now she's wondering if I can get his address so she can write him a letter explaining how she feels, and I just cannot see the point.
Well, that's it. Your daughter has discovered somebody that you couldn't, in your wildest dreams, imagine being interested in. In other words, what she's done is something for herself. And it's a wise mum who can actually, instead of jumping in with all the criticism, try to be tolerant. It's also in your interest, because the more you tell her Vic Reeves ain't funny and ain't handsome, the more she's going to be interested and in love with Vic Reeves. Now, let's think about this. She's in love. It must be pretty tough to be in love with somebody you can't actually be in touch with. It must feel pretty awful that you know, in a way, it's never really going to be returned. I think, after all, Vic Reeves is spoken for. You can't have him. So there's this unrequited bit, the fact that you have this yearning for somebody you can't have. So you could say to her, instead of, don't be daft, you're not in love, you could say to her, are you unhappy? Do you feel sometimes very miserable about this? You could also, at the same time, I think you've got to be quite tough with the schoolwork. You say, come on, play by the rules. You've got to do the minimum amount there. You could also say to yourself, perhaps it's a good thing that she's finished with her very un-Vic Reeves-like boyfriend, because he wasn't right for her. And the way forward is to find somebody who has a bit more of his zany, wonderful attraction. The worst thing you can do is undermine her confidence. The best thing you can do is to tell her that life is full of events and incidents like this, and sympathise with the bit where she's absolutely quite unhappy about things because she's in love with somebody she'll never have.
Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you. And you'll be back in a few weeks' time?
Yes, in early November. I think it's about the 9th of November.
Right. So if you've got a problem,
please,
yes, if you've got a problem that you'd like Philip to talk about, then drop us a line to Growing Pains, Going Live, P.O. Box 8181, London W12 7SE. That's Growing Pains, P.O. Box 8181, London W12 7SE.